Good evening. This is a regular City Commission meeting for the City of Largo. Today is Tuesday, October 15th, 2024. I'd like to call this meeting to order and ask that if you have a cell phone, please turn it to silent or off so that we don't have any interruptions. We're going to start this evening's meeting with an invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, so please stay standing after the invocation. It's a little bit tricky because I'm the one that's giving the invocation. I'm looking for a name on here.
Mayor Brown.
Let us take a moment to gather our thoughts and come together as a community. We acknowledge the strength and resilience of those impacted by Hurricanes Milton and Helene. Our hearts are with all of the individuals and families facing the challenges of recovery. We extend our gratitude to our Largo team and the first responders, volunteers, and all those who have offered their time, resources, and compassion in these trying times. May their efforts be blessed, and may our city continue to come together in unity and support for one another. As we meet tonight, may we be guided by wisdom, compassion, and a commitment to serve the greater good. Let us work together to make decisions that uplift our community and bring hope for the future. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The first item on the agenda tonight is a ceremonial item. It's a proclamation for National Friends of Libraries Week.
Whereas Friends of the Largo Public Library raise money that enables our library to embrace a growth mindset, providing the resources for additional programming, much-needed equipment, support for children's summer reading, and special events throughout the year. Whereas the success and vitality of libraries are greatly enhanced by the support and advocacy of their friends groups, which are composed of dedicated volunteers who work tirelessly to support library programs, raise funds, and advocate for library needs. And whereas the Friends understand the critical importance of well-funded, sustainable libraries and advocate to ensure that our library gets the resources it needs to provide a wide variety of services to all ages, including access to print and electronic materials, along with expert assistance in research, readers advisory, and children's services, whereas Friends of Libraries groups play a crucial role in fostering community engagement, promoting literacy, and enhancing the overall quality of library services through their efforts and contributions, and whereas National Friends of Libraries Week is an opportunity to recognize and celebrate the valuable contributions of these dedicated volunteers and to acknowledge their impact on the libraries and communities they serve. Now therefore, I, Woody Brown, Mayor of the City of Largo, Florida, and on behalf of the City Commission, do hereby proclaim October 20th through the 26th as Friends of Libraries Week in the City of Largo, and urge all residents of the area to join and support the Friends of the Largo Public Library for all they do to enrich our library and enhance our community.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Tonight we are celebrating the Friends of Largo Library and their tireless dedication in support of the library and the community at large. In our fast-paced world, where digital screens often dominate our attention, it is more important than ever to remember the irreplaceable value of our public libraries. These institutions are more than just repositories of books. They are vibrant hubs of learning, creativity, and connection. And behind this essential mission stands a dedicated group of volunteers, the Friends of the Library. Over the years, many volunteers have worked in the Catherine E. Porter bookstore, manned semi-annual book sales, and conducted online sales of donated materials. All of this hard work has resulted in over $2 million in contributions that are used to sponsor adult and children's programs and initiatives that support library team members. The community beyond the library also benefits from their commitment to literacy through the 5 little free libraries that they maintain throughout the area. Their contributions are invaluable. Moreover, the work of the Friends goes beyond mere funding. They advocate for the library's needs, working tirelessly to ensure it remains a vital part of our community. They help bridge the gap between the library's potential and its actual reach, ensuring that the library's impact is as profound and far-reaching as possible. What makes the Friends of Largo Library truly special is their passion and commitment to fostering a love of reading and learning within our community. They understand that libraries are not just about borrowing books. They're about opening doors to new worlds, new ideas, and new possibilities. They provide essential support for programs that inspire young readers, support lifelong learning, and bring people together. Today, I encourage each of you to join me in expressing our deepest gratitude and support for the Friends of the Largo Library Group. Their dedication is a testament to what can be achieved when passionate individuals come together for a common cause. Their efforts ensure that our library continues to be a place of discovery and inspiration for all. If you're not already involved, I invite you to consider how you might contribute to this important work, whether through volunteering, participating in events, or simply spreading the word about the library's offerings. Every action makes a difference. In closing, let us celebrate the Friends not just for what they do, but for what they represent. A commitment to education, community, and the boundless potential for every individual who walks through the doors of our building. Thank you for your support, and thank you to the Friends for helping Largo realize its full potential as a community of choice in Tampa Bay. Today, the Friends of Largo Library representatives and board members are here tonight at Sandy Hoover, Dot Burst, Melissa Dexter, and Pat Bell. Thank you.
Come on up here. Next, we have an upcoming week, the Florida City Government Week. So we'll have a proclamation recognizing that.
Whereas city government is the government closest to most residents and often felt to have the most direct daily impact upon the community, and whereas municipal government provides services and programs that enhance the quality of life for residents, making their city their home, and whereas city government officials and city team members share the responsibility to facilitate an understanding of public services and their benefits, and whereas Florida City Government Week offers an important opportunity for city representatives to spread the word to all residents that they can shape and influence this branch of government, and whereas the Florida League of Cities and its member cities, including the City of Largo, have joined together to engage with residents and provide education about municipal government through a variety of activities. Now, therefore, I, Woody Brown, Mayor of the City of Largo, Florida, and on behalf of the City Commission, do hereby proclaim the week of October 21st through the 27th, 2024, as Florida City Government Week in the City of Largo, in conjunction with the celebration of City Government Week in cities across the United States throughout the year, and to complement the City of Largo's current civic engagement efforts, such as resident advisory boards, youth leadership council, cross-sector partnerships, legislative advocacy, and public meetings.
Good evening, City Commission, administration, leadership, and Largo community. It is as timely as ever that we take a moment to recognize City Government Week. Florida City Government Week is a week-long recognition held annually by the Florida League of Cities. As a local city government, we know that civic engagement is a key piece of our continuously strengthening the City of Largo's mission to provide superior services that inspire community pride. This has never been more evident than over the past few weeks with Hurricanes Helene and Milton. I want to thank Team Largo for their dedication and response to our community during and after these storms, and to our residents of Largo who show how strong our community is when we are supporting each other. For residents experiencing impacts from the storm, please visit largo.com/storm for resources. There is also the Disaster Recovery Center open with expanded services at the Florida Botanical Gardens Magnolia Room at 12520 Almerton Road. The Disaster Recovery Center will be open from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. through Saturday, October 19th, and will have many support organizations on site. If you're a resident, a business owner, a visitor of Largo, there are also a few ways that you can stay up to date with city news and events and contribute to city planning. First, stay up to date with all the city happenings by signing up for Largo's weekly e-newsletter at largo.com/Largo Today. In the newsletter, you'll learn all about everything happening from new projects and services updates to local events and community grant opportunities. If you use social media, be sure to follow the City of Largo on Facebook and Instagram to see real-time updates about city happenings. The city manages various Facebook pages that focus on general city events and specific department activities and messages from recreation to the Largo Library, fire rescue, police, among other pages. Visit largo.com/social to find all those pages and click follow on all of them. For community members looking for other opportunities, City Government Week is a great time to visit largo.com/connect to learn more about ways to get involved, such as advisory board positions and volunteer opportunities, as well as ways to join civic groups and neighborhood meetings and share more events about city services. Thank you so much for allowing the opportunity to join with the Florida League of Cities in recognizing Florida City Government Week.
Thank you. Leanne and I spoke before this meeting, and instead of coming down and taking a picture, we encourage you all to take a City Hall selfie next week during City Government Week here at City Hall. Next, we'll have a proclamation declaring October Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Whereas during National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, the City of Largo recognizes domestic violence, also known as intimate partner violence, as a public health issue that impacts individuals, family members, friends, and coworkers across our city. And whereas the impact of domestic violence is felt not only by individuals and families, but communities and a nation as a whole, and whereas on average nearly 20 people per minute are physically abused by an intimate partner in the United States. During 1 year, this equates to more than 10 million people. And whereas domestic violence affects people regardless of income, race, gender, or socioeconomic status, still women make up a disproportionately higher number of victims of domestic violence. And whereas homes should be places of comfort and stability where love and mutual respect thrive, domestic violence erodes this environment, leaving many individuals in potentially life-threatening situations. And whereas the City of Largo stands with victims, our law enforcement officers, social workers, professionals, educators, and other brave individuals who are focused on protecting families and communities from domestic violence. And whereas the City of Largo joins with others across the state of Florida and nationwide in supporting domestic violence victims and survivors, the advocates and organizations who serve them, and holding offenders accountable in the City of Largo. Now therefore, I, Woody Brown, Mayor of the City of Largo, Florida, and on behalf of the City Commission, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2024 as National Domestic Violence Awareness Month in the City of Largo, in conjunction with the recognition of National Domestic Violence Awareness Month across the state and country.
Good evening. Thank you for supporting this proclamation. Last month marked the 30th anniversary of the Victims Against Women Act. The act lifted the social and legal burdens off survivors and onto the perpetrators where they belong. This act also put a spotlight on domestic violence and created a movement to recognize the effects domestic violence has on survivors. The Largo Police Department is and has always been at the forefront of our efforts to support the victims and survivors of domestic violence, and I'm honored that the city has continued to support our efforts. As always, I'd like to invite our resident expert up to share a few words. Frida Wadier.
Good evening. Thank you, Chief, and thank you to each of you for taking time tonight to acknowledge Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Following the devastating impact of Hurricanes Helene and Milton, I know many of our thoughts are not on domestic violence, but I would like you to focus on it for a few minutes with me. Each year I stand before you to raise awareness, share statistics, and encourage community action. Tonight I'd like to talk to you about domestic violence and disasters. Domestic violence does not cease during disasters. In actuality, there is a heightened risk of domestic violence prompted or exacerbated by natural disasters. The effect of disasters on domestic violence prevalence is fairly well documented, with most studies showing that it leads to an increase. And I have a couple of examples for you, and they go over a series of years. There was a 45% increase in domestic violence reports to police following the Mount St. Helens eruption in Washington in 1980. Following a 1989 earthquake in California, one domestic violence shelter reported a 50% increase in requests for restraining or protection orders. After Hurricane Andrew in 1992 here in Florida, there was a 50% increase in calls to domestic violence centers. In 2004, when our state was hit by those 4 back-to-back hurricanes, calls to domestic violence centers increased, and that increase actually existed for a full 6 months after the storms. Following Hurricane Katrina in 2005, women were 2 times more likely to report severe physical abuse, and an article that was written by Catholic Charities after Katrina said that there was a 45% increase in domestic violence following the storm. After Hurricane Harvey in Texas in 2017, reports of psychological abuse increased by 8%. And I know that doesn't sound like a huge percent, but it's still 8%. And after the winter storm Uri, which was in Texas, which was that storm that knocked out power in 2021, one organization that helped domestic violence victims with financial grants did a survey, and 1 in 4 applicants reported abuse became worse during the storm. However, even more important than an increased prevalence is increased vulnerability of domestic violence victims and survivors during and after a disaster. Abuse creates isolation, it limits support networks, and creates financial insecurity. These are all enhanced during and after a disaster. There are barriers to reporting: lack of cell phone access, lack of power, law enforcement focused on bigger issues and people feeling that they can't call law enforcement at that moment. Their access to crisis workers can be cut off, and protection orders are difficult to enforce, particularly if you're both in the same shelter. How does that get enforced? And abusers know this, and they take advantage during these times. Disasters destroy our infrastructures in our communities, making it hard for victims to survive, to get away from their abuser, and access help. And our already taxed social services are stretched well beyond their limits after a disaster. An inflated housing and rental market becomes more difficult to navigate with limited funds and resources, and a safe place to stay becomes harder to attain. Also, loss of employment and/or lack of child care resources after the disaster can prevent success. So our bottom line: disasters devastate communities, disasters devastate families, and disasters impact and at times devastate domestic violence victims and their children. Ironically, the Domestic Violence Awareness Project, which creates themes each year, this year decided, instead of creating a new theme, to build on their 2023 theme, which is Heal, Hold, and Center. Again, Heal, Hold, and Center. This theme embodies the needs of domestic violence victims and survivors in our community following the hurricanes. This October, as Domestic Violence Awareness Month and beyond, because domestic violence is a year-round issue, we must work together, commit to supporting domestic violence victims and survivors, hold perpetrators accountable, and ensure our community is truly safe for everyone. I thank you for your time and attention this evening. And now I would like to introduce Nick DeSegli, who is the CEO and president of Hope Villages of America, one of our local domestic violence centers in Pinellas County, and specifically the one that we utilize at the police department.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me today, Mayor, Commission. It's good to see you all. Nick DeSegli, President and CEO of Hope Villages of America. We have a food bank, which obviously, as you can imagine, we've been very busy. We have a domestic abuse shelter that's called The Haven. Many of you probably know that. It's been operating in Clearwater since 1967, and then we have some transitional affordable housing units. But today I'm here to talk about the Domestic Abuse Awareness Month, which is really important. Of all the things that have been said earlier, I greatly appreciate the partnership with the city, partnership with law enforcement. It's really important, especially during times of crisis. I'm incredibly proud of the work that we do on an annual basis. We house over 300 women and children every single year. We take in over 10,000 calls through our hotline, dealing with folks with questions. It's not so much identifying a really dangerous situation at home and then immediately wanting to go to a shelter. It takes time. It takes that nurturing, if you will, and that's where our great staff and their compassion and their training comes into play. So I want to say, during these last 2 hurricane events, what I'm incredibly proud of is that we operate 24/7, as you can imagine. We have to staff that facility 24/7, and despite the requirements for evacuations and all of the things that have been going on the last 3 weeks, we've been able to obviously keep that shelter open, being able to provide those services for our guests who have to be there, because in many cases it's their lives that are on their line, their children. So I'm incredibly proud of that, and these proclamations are important just simply because of awareness. A lot of members of our community don't understand the magnitude of an issue like this, and so whether it's here in Largo, Clearwater, and many and all of the municipalities here in Pinellas County, I appreciate you allowing me to give the time to express what we do at Hope Villages, and then hopefully every single day we can increase that awareness, and then we can truly address the crisis of domestic violence here in Pinellas County. So I want to thank you for that. And before I go, I'm going to shift gears because I'm wearing, my official shirt today. As far as hurricane recovery, please know, as your state senator, we are working every single day. Obviously, the beach communities have been significantly impacted, but if you need anything from me or my staff or anyone from the state, regardless of the agency, please know that I'm here. I'm here to serve, and anything that you guys need, please take advantage of that. So thank you so much for having us here today.
Thank you. Next, we'll have citizens comment. If you'd like to speak about something on the agenda outside of the consent docket, please wait until an item comes up. Do we have any cards this evening?
Yes, I have several cards. First is Deborah Munzel, and those are her pictures that I put up there to pass around. Yes, up at the podium.
Good evening. I'm so happy we all made it here. I have an issue where I live here in Largo on Dahlia Place, which I'm sure probably most of you have heard about. And I've been here 3 years. And in the 3 years' time I've spent here, my house is flooded every time we have a daily thunderstorms, the 2-hour storms. And it's all due to a drainage ditch at the end of Dahlia Place that is not been taken care of by the city for many, many, many years. It is so full of debris and overgrowth of trees and weeds and everything else. Nothing flows down there. It just fills. And when that ditch fills, everything that's in there, nasty bacterial water, fish, turtles have literally come up my driveway 3 houses away from that ditch during a regular 2-hour storm in a day. This hurricane that came in destroyed my place. I'm at a loss 100%. It came in 6 inches deep, and it came and encroached through the doors. It was pouring in like a river. Outside, I've got water lines. I could look out my window and put my hand out and touch the water. And if that ditch had been cleaned, I think it would have helped some, being a hurricane, helped some of the water flow, other than back up and just flow up our street, and literally anyone on my street lost all their furniture. Those are the pictures you're seeing. There are pictures from, if you flip them over, it'll tell you the dates of those pictures, because I have been documenting this since 2021, since I moved in. because I've never, ever lived anywhere like this before. Never. It's been an eye-opener. I would like to see the ditch fixed. I've had ABC Action News out there and broadcast 3 times trying to get someone's attention. Nothing's happened. And then we get this department. It's not a safe street for a citizen like myself to live on that has health issues.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sirs, and thank you for your time.
The years, I own several properties in Largo. I own one of the duplexes on Dahlia Place, arguably the highest one. And we ended up with about 2 inches of water in both sides over the summer here. I've owned this duplex since 1994, and I can tell you the flooding's never been past halfway up my driveway prior to about 18 months ago. Prior to buying this property, I also rented in the neighborhood, and I can tell you all the way back to 1988, this problem did not happen. Having been there that long, I can tell you that you guys used to come out sometimes twice a year and clean that ditch, and you stopped doing that. I have approximately $6,000 of property damage and repairs to my property as a result of this. Both of my tenants, single women on a fixed income, living in those units, lost everything. They are displaced at the moment while I try and put things back together. There's 11 duplexes on that street. That means 22 families are affected by this. And like I said, mine's the highest. So I had 2 inches of water in mine, so everybody else had more. Some of those landlords are doing things for their tenants. Some of them are not. And some of those landlords suffered these types of losses 3 times this summer. 3 times in one summer. You all have been notified ad nauseum. Chris Gerard, I'm sure, is a name that's well known around here. Like the previous lady mentioned, the news has been out and broadcast. There's no denying that you guys know what that problem is. The problem is there. I think I understand that the county and the city are playing the blame game. You guys are blaming the county, and the county's blaming you. I can tell you that as a Largo resident, a taxpayer, I think that you guys do most things correctly, but this is something that you got very wrong. If in fact you did drop the maintenance of this in favor for something the county was supposed to do and let this go, I think that you have a lot of liability on your hands. You can't deny knowing about it. So if each owner lost about $10,000 on this particular event in repairs, that's 120 grand. If each resident lost $8,000, it's another $176,000. We're at 350 grand just in one flood, and there was 3 this summer. So that's $1 million. The owners of those properties have lost value because now we have to disclose it at the time we go to sell, and who wants to buy a property that's known to flood multiple times a year? Chris Gerard, who has arguably the lowest duplex, is going to have a difficult time selling his. I think it's flooded something like 13 times. And he's obviously been the most vocal. But you guys have awakened the beast now because the 12 owners now are all talking and united. And it's very apparent that you guys have been made aware of this for a very long time and have done nothing. So I'm going to ask that you guys put together a plan in the next 7 days to get the ditch cleaned out, that you find some emergency funds to appropriate a continued clean out until you iron things out with the city. Because from what I know, the last 40 years that you guys actually maintained the ditch, there was no flooding, and that's documentable. So I'm not perfect, you can ask my wife. I think that people make mistakes, but I think it's how we respond to them that defines who we are and our character. And so, like I said, I think you guys do a lot of things right. I think you missed the ball on this one, and I'm hoping you're going to show us what kind of character you are in making this correct. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Kurt Stone.
Hi, how are you guys doing? I live on Dahlia Place as well, or I'm a landlord there. I bought 3 years ago. The first 2 years I lived there did not flood. This year it did flood twice. I think it was Tropical Storm Debbie. I had somewhere around $5,500, $6,000 in damages. And this one actually flooded my entire house. I cut out around 11 inches everywhere. So I could probably say it probably, $15,000 this year I've had to pay out of pocket, for repairs. My tenants as well have been displaced, having to find somewhere to rent while I'm getting everything treated. And I agree too. I think if you guys, maintain the ditch, that wouldn't be an issue there. My tenants did lose a bunch of stuff. If you actually go down Dahlia Place, you'll see a bunch of furniture, tables, couches, everything out there on the curb, lost a lot of stuff. And I've seen a few cars totaled as well from all the flooding. So same thing, I would like to see, something done and, start maintaining that ditch so that way, I don't have to have another $15,000 expense next year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Craig Murtha.
Craig Murtha, Largo. I've been thinking more about managed retreat lately, and you all, I'm sure, know what managed retreat is. It's when cities start moving people in the most vulnerable areas out of those vulnerable areas and turning those areas into green space, whether along rivers or creeks or that type of thing. And there's a lot of good benefits to that. For one of them, when you move people out of vulnerable areas, then you don't lose tax base. I mean, I know the county's already around looking at places that have been damaged to do readjustments for next year, for January 1st, because a lot of these places aren't going to be fixed by January 1st. I think most won't. So we're going to lose a lot of tax base as of January 1st. And also, when we move people out of vulnerable areas, we save a lot in insurance. Insurance cost. It's just way more expensive to build in vulnerable areas. We reduce homelessness because there's a lot of homelessness right now. There's so many people that are renting on the beaches and other areas, or these duplexes right across the street here. I imagine some of those people have either lost their home, could be homeless. I don't know. I have no information on that, but I know we've lost so many homes, and it wasn't necessary. I mean, I think if this place, just speculation, but if this place had been turned into a park and this lake was expanded and deepened, maybe all those duplexes across the street wouldn't have flooded, and maybe more people down the Long Bayou Canal system would be more protected in the future. So, and with so much more impervious surface area going in, with each development, I think we really have to ramp up our stormwater capacity. Just like you're doing with that park over there at the golf course, because we definitely need to really ramp up that capacity over there, because that's right on the creek also. And but anyhow, and the pain and suffering, just the pain and suffering alone, we can't even, if you're not, hit by this, you really can't even imagine. The loss of workforce. Let's say we keep building, if we keep on planning to build high-density workforce housing in low-lying areas, and we actually do get the big one. We really haven't been hit with the big one yet. We could still get a 30-foot storm surge. I mean, that's what all the experts say. If we get a 30-foot storm surge and half the county goes underwater, and we have a lot of this housing in low-lying areas, we are toast as far as loss of workforce, just when we need them the most. Yeah, we just need to increase stormwater capacity, start moving people out of the close proximity to these creeks, because the creeks face a triple threat. For one, the areas close to the creeks, at least this creek, is low. They're susceptible to flooding from rain, and if you get a big storm surge, it can drive all the way into these creeks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is E.B. Kuntz.
Aging is not easy. All those things, you box, kickbox, fight.
That's right. We don't start the timer till you're up there, so you're good. Take your time.
Just a sidebar then. Assuring $10,500 in Largo Mall, the $30 a month to cover damages for water and property. $30 a month, and all your electronics, $30 a month, assuring $10,000.
All right.
Okay.
Now we'll start the clock.
Thank you.
All right.
Then
Paid
Carson
for by
King.
Assyrian.
Carson King, I'd like to have an appointment with him before I send the news to your front door. Because I've been here 8 months, I've been arrested 3 times. Let me tell you the kind of guy I am. I'm the kind of guy that pull up and say, God sent me. What do you need? Right here, 10 years, 44 countries, 5 continents, I preach the gospel. Waffle House told me I can't preach the gospel in there. There's a guy in the city hall, in the Largo Police Department, Little Short Napoleon. He actually told me, I'm the authority here. You got to come through me and I decide. Well, I said, if I go to a pawn shop, which I've done business for years, I buy guns, I buy gold, I buy fashion materials. I rent the fashion. If it's $300 here, you take it, $25 or whatever. If you buy, most of them keep it. I went in there during Milton, and I make my money day by day. But what would you? It gets better. I got over $30,000 in Truist. Somebody hit me for $2,600. And that was 2 weeks ago, and I still don't have the money. And I can't say it because I'm black, but I'm saying it. I've watched kids, minority kids, jacked up. 3 cars, LAPD, 3 cars. We're kidding. Why you don't do that to kids? They're all minorities. The only white person I've seen was a drunk and homeless. They're treated like animals. It's got to stop. I'm going to bring the news to your door. Somebody doesn't do something. I promise you. And I've got over 5 million followers. I got 5 different Facebooks. One of them's Hispanic. And I said, don't move to Largo. If you're a Hispanic, do not move here. Your kids don't stand a chance. If you live here, get out. Seminole, Clearwater, anywhere. Do not come. The late, great Harold Washington, mayor. I could drop names, sir. My daddy was rich. Our maids were white.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Tim Garton.
Follow that one, but Mayor, Commission, staff, everybody, glad to see everybody's here. I know everybody's went through a hard time. I know some has gone through more than others. We all gone through a hard time recently. We've all seen what's happened past 2 hurricanes, what needs to happen. No matter how many people come up here and tell you what needs to happen, I think you already know it by now. The ditches, the roads, the drainage, everything. I'm just going to add one more to it, the sewage. The sewage is backed up into houses recently because of all the water and the flooding and everything. I've said it before, I'm going to say it again, the sandbags. We didn't do sandbags again. I don't know why. When I worked for the city of Largo, we had sandbags every year. I used to fill the sandbags. I got out there with Public Works and we all filled them up for people. Why that didn't happen, I don't know. What I would like to say is thank you to everybody for the EMS, the police, staff that was out there, Public Works, everybody out there who got out there and battled the storm to help everybody and do the best they can. I know it wasn't easy. Back when I was a firefighter paramedic for Largo, I battled that storm as well too. Not one like we just had, thank God. But all I want to do is say thank you, and I think we know what we need to do, and maybe we should start doing that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is George Feaster.
Well, Commission, Mayor, I'm here not to speak about the storm, but maybe what's going to happen after it. And that's the fact that we have some students coming from Japan, our sister city, coming in 3 weeks. And I wanted the community to know about it. And it's nearly 40 years old, 40 years that we've been doing this with the exchange of students between Largo High School and Yamada High School in our sister city of Japan. The Lions Club, the city of Largo, and the high school are all sponsors of this. It's a great thing for our community. You can speak to some of the students that have been in the past from Largo there. In fact, it's a great thing. With everything happening lately, we're in need of participation by the community in the city to get more involved with this. And we're in need of people to host families that have students at Largo High School. There's 10 students coming and 2 adult teachers coming and with them. We're pretty well taken care of, but I'm asking today that anybody that has a student at Largo High School that may have the opportunity to host a Japanese high school student for 10 days, it would be a great advantage to them. I'll tell you why. It's an experience that you won't have anywhere else to host somebody from a different culture and country. It's just fantastic. I think some of us that have been in Japan and been hosted by them, and I've been there quite a few times in the last 55 years that we've been associated as a sister city, that it made me a stronger person and a better understanding of the world and people that don't look like or act like me. And so I'm really coming here not to talk to the commission, but to the public and friends of our community to let's put on our best looks and come out and help Largo High School host these families. So anybody that would know or let the school know or call me direct. The Largo Lions Club. Thank you very much. And I am proud to be a citizen of Largo for what you've done in these last couple of days. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Matthew Faustini.
Good evening all. Matt Faustini, 1015 Lake Palms Drive, Largo. First, I just wanted to start off by thanking all of you, the city manager, all of our city staff, fire, police. You guys have stayed at your jobs, away from your families, in many cases, away from your home, away from your own damage, to be here and support our community. And for that, you have my eternal gratitude, and I hope most residents' gratitude. To those who are losing their homes and struggling with this, I know what this feels like. In the 04 season, after Hurricane Francis, we had a tree fall on our house. And we lost our entire house, the back unit to mold. We were outside of our home for 2 years. It took us 2 years to get back. It's a long road. It's hard, but I promise you there is light at the end of the tunnel, and you will get back. I actually live on Lake Palms, which is a duplex neighborhood behind Dahlia, where a lot of residents have come and spoke tonight. And I understand, like I said, their pain. I do know the city is trying, though. I saw up to the day before Milton, us trying to get a drainage ditch to move water from that Fulton one into Willow so that water could move into Willow. Our city just can't manage 20 inches of rain an hour. No city, no system can. My backyard can't. I've had to buy a sump pump and dig a gravity trench in my own backyard because the mobile homes are higher and they flood into our backyards. This is a situation we are all dealing with this. We are all in this together. We got to remember that and come together as a community because we can't fight each other because we're not going to solve anything that way. The last thing I wanted to do, I just got the text message, our neighbors across the street just got their power back on about 10 minutes ago. So I want to thank all the IBEW workers that have come all throughout the nation to support us. And then I know you guys have a lot of tough, difficult decisions ahead, and it's going to be hard, whether it's debris removal, the FEMA 50% rule, surging staff on permitting, and I wish you all the best, and I'll be here to support you in any way I can. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is John Lauser.
It's always bad going last because it's almost all the same. But I would like to say, going through this storm, a big thank you to all of our EMS, first responders, the linemen, but also it always reminds me how proud I am to be a member of my community. Day after the storm, everybody's out there cleaning up, everybody else's yard. All the younger folks kind of take care of the older folks, and the older folks, come out and express their gratitude. So it made me proud to be a member of my community, made me proud to be a Largonian. But I did want to ask, so I've been here complaining about stormwater. I've heard a lot of other people complain about stormwater, and I always pick up the agenda and I look to see if there's a line item to maybe surge or spend some money to clean up the ditches, clean up the rainwater runoff. And I mean, we've got $573,000 for computers and $2 million for front-end loaders, and I know that's all programmed, but there's a big budget. And I think there's probably room to surge, or at least try to show people that we're making efforts. And maybe there is effort going on in the background. I would like to see it. I would love to see it. And I think a lot of other people would too. So I think that you guys are probably at your wits' ends. This has been a tough week. So it doesn't have to happen now, but I think it'd be great to hear your guys' side of the story after the citizen comments. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Chris Gerard.
Hello, I really didn't. Chris Gerard, 3404 Dahlia Place. Mayor Brown, you came to my address and took a photograph in the middle of the night. You know we've been complaining about flooding and the lack of maintenance on ditch number 10. I've emailed almost every one of you begging for help in August. Our ditch has been taken off the maintenance schedule because the maintenance department thought engineering was going to redo the ditch, which they were in 2022. But then that got canceled because somebody's got to put some pressure on Pinellas County to put an additional culvert under Starkey Road. Okay, I was told that the 15 houses on Dahlia Place flood is acceptable amount of flooding, because if we did Ann Rock's project, that would transfer the flooding to a 200-family mobile home park. I say bullshit. I'm disappointed with every one of you, and if you don't vote to buy that ditch cleaning excavator, I got no hope for you. I've been out, we flooded 9 times before Debbie. The mayor took pictures. We flooded Debbie. We flooded the Wednesday after Debbie. 40 inches in Milton, inside my house. 40 goddamn inches. And I own a duplex. So that means I'm buying 2 air conditioners, 2 refrigerators. Everything is destroyed. All the bottom cabinets, bathroom, kitchen. And it's all was preventable to the extent. Now, I'm not saying we may not have flooded during Milton, but it didn't have to be as bad as it was because we were neglected. Because in 2019, the project was set up to be done in 2021. I'm sorry, 2022. But then it got incorporated into the Pinellas County Stocky Road Improvement Project, but then that got canceled because Pinellas County rearranged their priorities. Somebody here has got to put some pressure on them to take care of it. This is a problem that's been going on for over 40 years. I hear some moaning over there. Why don't you come on down and check it out? Huh? Somebody come down and see that our ditch is only a foot wide at 695. That's the address. And nobody still has done a damn thing. They said, oh, we're going to put some, we worked 2 weeks on the ditch, which they did.
Thank you, sir.
South and west of us. Nothing for Dahlia Place.
That's all the cards.
You just shut up. I'm sorry. I hate it for you.
Thank you, Mr. Kerp. I know that, not to put us on the spot here, I don't expect it right now, but certainly there was plenty of folks, and I know that there's some plans that are in place, but could you get those plans to us? We need to, as was mentioned, this isn't a brand-new problem. There's some convoluted things, and we've been talking about this since Debbie, not just in Dahlia Place, but several places where the stormwater ditch is the county's ditch, and then it's Largo's ditch, and then it's the county's ditch, and they're on different maintenance schedules, and it makes it so the ditch isn't quite as efficient as it should be or could be. And so I've been pushing for, heck, tell the county, hey, we'll take this ditch, you guys take that ditch, and then we own that ditch and we take care of it and it functions correctly, and the county does the same thing over here. It would lead to efficiency. Anyways, my question is, can we get a plan for Dahlia Place presented to us sometime in the near future, like in the next couple weeks?
Certainly, we can give you the update of the maintenance plan that we've put in place over the course of the summer, and the scheduled maintenance that's going to occur when the dry season begins here in about 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay, and just a couple other points, as Mr. Gerard actually pointed out, there is a $250,000 mowing equipment. We used to have a Menzie that would do some really specific maintenance in our ditches, and this will do a lot of that stuff. So that's a great thing. Much of the money that we spend on stormwater doesn't show up on a budget amendment, because it's mostly our folks out doing stuff that's in the big budget, and it's not things that amount to over the amount of money that would end up on a consent docket item. So just to be clear, we're spending money every single day on stormwater. Now the county spends more money on stormwater than they used to, because they actually charge the residents for stormwater. And we've actually had that as a line item for a while, and I understand there's a problem in Dahlia, and I know the aim of this commission is to get it fixed, and we'll keep pushing. So that's all I can say on that. But thank you for being here as well. Next up is approval of tonight's agenda. I would like to suggest that we add just an official state of emergency resolution that can be predated back to when this hurricane came through as the last item on the agenda. If you guys could make that motion, I'd appreciate it as an amendment.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0, and then we would need
I'd like to pull 20.
we would need a motion to approve the agenda as amended with 20 being pulled.
So second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Next is consideration of the minutes from the regular meeting of October 1st, 2024.
Move approval.
Second.
Any corrections, changes? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Next is an update on city storm responses from a couple departments. I think you're up first, Chief.
Actually, I think fire rescues.
Different chiefs.
Oh. What?
And Mayor, if I may, we're going to have, I know, fire rescue, Chief Cody Johnson who led our emergency response, followed by, I think, Chief Laux, and then our Public Works Department, and I believe our PA is going to speak as well, to talk about, all our efforts before, during, and after the storm. And I just want, as this begins, to just commend our team. There was an incredible amount of effort that we put in before storm season even begins, and I think the last two storms both demonstrated that Largo was well prepared. We were ready for the worst of what nature could give us. I'm very proud of our work during the last two events, and just want to thank our team publicly before they begin the presentation. Thank you.
I second that. Thank you. Good evening. Like City Manager said, Cody Johnson, I'm Division Chief of Emergency Management. Unfortunately, this is the second largest storm that we dealt with in a short amount of time. So my presentation is going to be threefold. I'm going to talk to you about a little bit about storm data and the formation, and then I'll switch gears to emergency management, then over to the Largo fire rescue side of things. So Hurricane Milton was the 13th named storm of the 2024 Atlantic season. It began to form early in October in the Western Caribbean, and it rapidly intensified due to a warm sea surface temperature and favorable atmospheric conditions. I guess I should flip my screen. All right. So within 24 hours, it evolved from a tropical storm to a Category 5 hurricane. It was one of the fastest intensifications on record. Milton reached its peak on October 6th with sustained winds of 180 miles an hour. And Milton made landfall on Florida's west coast near Siesta Key on October 9th as a Category 3 storm. I say fortunately it was downgraded to a Category 3 as it had reformed its eye wall. But not to downplay any type of flooding, but flooding did occur, but this was more of a wind event versus what we dealt with Hurricane Helene. And due to the landfall location, storm surge was not a huge concern as it was with Hurricane Helene. And the National Weather Service reported the highest sustained winds of 67 miles per hour, and they reported the greatest wind gust of 101 miles per hour, and a total rainfall of 16.88 inches. And the wind speed was measured at the St. Pete Clearwater Airport, and the rain total was measured at McKay Creek. So Largo's emergency management. So the Largo's EOC was partially activated on October 3rd to monitor the storm and begin our preparation efforts. The Emergency Management Planning Committee first met on Sunday, October the 6th. And at that time, a decision was made to close city facilities starting October the 8th. And Largo's EOC was activated Monday, October 7th at 9 p.m. and ultimately demobilized at October 14th at 7 o'clock. And that was demobilization of just the physical emergency operations center. Largo's employee camp, located at the community center, was open at noon October the 9th, and the employee camp is used to house 10 members who have an active role during and immediately following an event. The camp remained open until 6 p.m. on October the 12th, and ultimately there was 112 team members were housed at the employee camp. Largo's Family Shelter, located at the Culture Center for Performing Arts, was open at 5 p.m. on October the 8th, and the shelter remained open until noon on Thursday, October the 10th. And also, 112 team members and their immediate family members utilized the shelter. Employee child care at Highland Rec began October the 7th and continues to help those child care needs since the public schools are still closed. So Largo Fire Rescue. We began special needs evacuation calls on Sunday, October the 6th. We have a special needs evacuation list, and it encompasses over about 350 or so of our residents that need assistance evacuating. On October the 7th at 7 a.m., we began transporting those special needs evacuees. The evacuation process took a total of 16 fire personnel and 5 school buses. Transportation evacuees ran through Wednesday. In total, we transported 96 to shelters. And if you remember when I talked to you guys about Hurricane Helene, only 18 were transported. So majority, at least a third of our evacuees heeded the warning and evacuated. In total, Largo Fire Rescue staffed 4 storm units. Storm units respond to low priority calls such as wires down, trees on fire, and non-emergency evacuations. Largo Fire Rescue provided 10 firefighters at Largo High School to provide emergency medical services, 2 firefighters at both the employee camp and the family shelter. During the event, Largo Fire Rescue self-dispatched 350 low-priority calls and responded to 1,341 911 calls. Due to wind speed and unsafe conditions, Largo Fire Rescue ceased operations and responding to calls from 7:45 to 11:45 during the height of the storm. During this time, 228 calls were placed in queue. Largo Fire Rescue proudly was the first department in the county to clear our queue and responded to those calls when it was safe to do so. We finally returned to normal operations Friday, October the 11th at 12 p.m. And proud to say that Largo Fire Rescue safely delivered a baby boy at Largo High School during the evacuation and the housing of our residents. And it's Brandon James Jr. So,
missed a golden opportunity there.
so thank you very much, and I'll stick around for questions afterwards.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Commission. So I'll start by talking about storm prep. So we were hit with back-to-back storms from Helene to Milton. In between, stormwater work to check hotspots, inspect areas with known issues, and clean areas of concern. The Stormwater Division, the Solid Waste Division targeted construction and demolition debris in the areas impacted by the storm surge of Helene. Our debris collections are running 6 days a week right now, and when possible, our subcontractor is also running on Sundays. We have around 13 trucks working for debris removal, including claw trucks, grapple trucks, and roll-offs. The Streets and Stormwater Division is also helping with loaders and dump trucks. We ask for the community's patience as crews are working sunup to sundown to get the debris removed. We are proud to report that the residential trash, which is the trash that goes into the carts, is running on schedule, and that we've secured fuel so that we can continue to provide services to the city. Recycling is suspended for the week, and we will reassess when we know more. The recycling operation that we use has sustained damage. Okay. So to go over quantities, over 400 loads have been delivered to our debris management site, and over 1,000 cubic yards is picked up each day on average. Almost 7,000 cubic yards of the vegetation has been removed, and 3,700 cubic yards of construction and demolition debris has been removed. The first pass has taken place for construction and demolition debris, which includes Venetian Gardens, Indian Rocks Road, and El de Oro West. And on the left side of the figures, the dark blue material is the collected by the City of Largo team. And on the right side, the green represents the vegetative material and blue represents the construction and demolition debris, just to give you an idea of how things are sorting out. We have this figure to just remind you how to separate your debris. The graphic is on the website as a reminder for sorting. And to go over the facilities issues we did receive 45 calls about our facilities. So that included the fire stations, City Hall, Environmental Services, and the library. Assorted issues included water intrusion on carpets and ceiling tiles, a few generator issues, and a minor HVAC issue. And the remediation companies are on site now. They've actually been in this room. And I think it smells pretty good. Streets and Stormwater had 14 road closings and trees down, and 4 trees down, and 11 road closings for flooded waters. There's many trees and street signs down across the city. The last count that I saw, at least 99 street signs were missing.
And then to move on to environmental services. So the commission has supported many projects to upgrade the wastewater treatment plant. The operations building was completed in 2021 and houses our treatment plant operations and the lab. They are protected from storm surge and able to stay in the building during hurricane events. They keep the treatment process going, which keeps our waterways clean. And just of note, the old buildings that were there would have flooded during Helene, both the lab and the operations building. The influent project was complete in 2018. The project increased pumping capacity, which pushes more flow through the plant. And there's an equalization tank as well, which is actually where these photos are taken from. That project stores an additional 5 million gallons of wastewater. The effluent and disinfection projects raised buildings to the 100-year floodplain, and the pumps were upgraded, which means more water is pumped out of the plant to the discharge point. The collection system and wet weather projects were completed in 2019, and those projects pull wastewater out of the system faster, leaving room for everyone to continue to flush during storm events. With each of the upgrades above, a new generator was installed as well. So the treatment plant was on generator for 48 hours during Helene and 40 hours during Milton. Each part of the process is run fully by generator. With each storm, we had peaks of flow in the 40 million gallon range. And just to give a little context to that, in dry weather, if we're kind of in a drought, we get about 9 million gallons. So the collection system also has 14 permanent and 16 portable generators. And at the storm's peak for Milton, the team was running around to 25 lift stations that were offline with those portable generators, which was a 24/7 task. And I just wanted to say, imagine what it could have been like if we didn't have all of those generators that were part of the upgrades. Hydraulically, we've reduced inflow and infiltration to make room for the wastewater. That's extra water that shouldn't be in the system. And all of these projects allow us to remain operational during storm events. The generators keep us pushing and treating wastewater. The pumping upgrades in the collection system and at the treatment plant we're moving more water and making it less likely to end up in your homes and waterways. And the photo you see is during Helene. I believe it was 2 in the morning for the flooded photo. You can see the reflections of the lights off of the water. And just after the storm, it receded pretty quickly. The next step is raising equipment in the collection system. The floodplain mitigation will raise 4 lift stations or relocate them.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Great to see the slide change.
Good evening, Chief Mike Laux, Largo Police Department. So when the hurricane started to come our way, we kind of broke our efforts into 3 different areas: being prepared, responding, and recovering. I'll go over those 3 areas. Once Hurricane Milton was projected to affect our area, Pinellas County opened Largo High School as a shelter on Monday at noon, initially for special needs, and then for those located in evacuation zone A, B, C, and all mobile homes. As part of our community mission and duties, we began providing shelter 24/7 up until the shelter finally closed. For this hurricane, Largo High was designated as a step-down shelter for the county. This effectively means that when the hurricane has passed and other shelters are closing, they send the remaining people from those shelters to Largo High until alternative sites or homes can be identified for them. The police department maintained security at the shelter until it officially closed. Due to the logistics and typical mission of the police department during hurricane events, we began the police department command post at 0600 on Tuesday to begin the planning, staffing, and response of the police department. We began 12-hour shifts or platoons at 7 p.m. on Tuesday. Having just experienced Hurricane Helene and realizing the success of partnering with Streets and Stormwater, using their boats and tall trucks for high water rescue, we connected with them to set up the same scheme that we did for the previous storm. It was successful in that storm and also in this one. Due to the category of hurricane this one was, we identified locations throughout the city to stage our vehicles to keep them safe from wind and rising waters. We also relocated our command vehicle to an empty bay at FD 43. Typically, the police department moves to 2 platoons working 12-hour shifts to ensure that we have the capacity to not only handle routine calls for service, but to provide shelter security and announce evacuation orders throughout the mandated evacuation zones. PD personnel will house at the police department once the storm is close to landfall, and the potential for employees to safely travel to work is questionable. If we have a question of whether we can get our employees to work, we ask them to come and stay at the police department so that we can maintain a presence in the community. Upon the effects of the hurricane moving into the area, our officers continue to patrol the streets, providing safety and security, reporting conditions and hazards created by the storm, and conducting water rescues. This continued until it was simply too dangerous for the officers to be out in the hurricane, so the officers were called off the road and back into the police department. During the storm, the police department parking lot began to flood to an unprecedented extent, where the water was approximately 3 feet high and threatening those vehicles that were in the parking lot. A decision was made at that time to save the vehicles in our parking lot, so the officers ventured out into the hurricane and moved the vehicles out of the flooding waters into Highland Rec, which wasn't flooding as much. As a result, no vehicles were a total loss during the hurricane, although there were a few that sustained damages from the effect of the water and the debris. Post-storm, the department immediately flooded the community to assess and report on the damages, including fallen trees, damaged homes, downed power lines, road obstructions, flooded neighborhoods, fires, and to perform search and rescue missions to rescue stranded community members. The department used a drone to assess some areas, tall trucks from Streets and Stormwater, cruisers, and our MRAP during the missions. At a point, the majority of the traffic lights were without power. In order to promote a safer transition through the city, cones, barricades, temporary stop signs, cruisers or generators with inverters were used to power some of the intersections. Some of the larger intersections we controlled with officers directing traffic until one of those other mentioned processes were put in place. Additionally, we continued to monitor those flooded neighborhoods, and we used our MRAP to go into those areas to look for those that needed to be rescued. In total, we rescued 39 citizens and 10 pets from those flooded areas. In the days that followed the storm, the department responded to and is still attentive to an unprecedented recovery effort. I think we've all lived here. I've lived here for my entire life in Pinellas County. Been through a lot of storms, a lot of rain events, a lot of flooding. This by far was the most that I've seen. While we resume normal shift schedule, the officers have been tasked with having 6 additional personnel assigned to each shift. These personnel have been tasked with patrolling powerless neighborhoods, being vigilant for looters, controlling the chaos and disturbances at gas stations, monitoring intersections without functioning traffic lights, providing security for relief helicopters at Highland Rec, assisting with a presidential visit that came into Albert Wooded Airport in St. Pete, and delivering ice to areas without power, and just generally trying to promote peace in the community. This response to the hurricane was met by all the team members from the civilian employees to our sworn to dispatchers to volunteers even came out, many of which have had limited time to address their own hurricane-related damages at their homes. They've been working 24/7 with additional staffing since, during, before, through, and currently. They all came together and worked tirelessly, and they're still doing an excellent job. I have a couple slides to show some of our efforts in numbers. Basically, I asked for them just to give me a snapshot of last year. So you're looking October 8th through October 11th of last year compared to this year. And you can see for the telephone calls received in the communications center from last year, 353, it was more than double. Yeah, it's more than double this time and this year. And the self-initiated activity from our police officers, 366 compared to 1,039 during this storm. Here's some other, these are some of the common calls that we would go to and during these storms: welfare checks, patrol checks, directed patrols, citizen contacts. And you can see the numbers compared to last year. Patrol checks, we did 74 during this same time period, and this year we did 334. This is only through the 11th that we've continued this staffing on, and we're currently doing it right now with additional staffing. And the directed patrols would be in those areas that are still without power and still have people in needs. So you can see that we're heavily involved in protecting the community and just being seen to promote a sense of safeness. And I'll be around if you guys have any questions.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Good evening. I'm Matt Butler. I'm with the residential damage assessment team. I'm the assistant building official. So our city residential damage assessment team consists of 12 teams of 2 that go out into the city. There's 1 driver and 1 estimator that goes out. The goal of our residential damage assessment is to provide a windshield survey so that the county has numbers for FEMA assistance requests that are out there. So to give you kind of an idea, Helene was definitely a storm surge event for us. We found a lot of flooded homes during that event, mainly by Church Creek Point and Allen's Creek were some of the biggest areas we found first. The Milton was a wind and rain event, which caused significant damage to the roofs of mobile homes, a lot of damage in mobile home parks overall. And then we had tree damage, trees on homes. We also had a few homes that were destroyed from trees falling on them. And then we had significant inland flooding this time from the heavy rain in subdivisions. And then there's going to be also several resolutions tonight that will assist in the recovery efforts for those citizens that you guys will consider. So just to go through this, so for Helene, you can see from the picture that we had flooding on that one street right there, and then we have, in the other picture, is very hard to see, but you can see a water line underneath the window right there. The water receded so quickly that we don't get to see the water when it's a storm surge, so that's what we look for, is the water lines. We assessed 341 homes. During that time, 13 were destroyed, 130 major, 85 minor, and 118 affected. So if I go over to Milton, so Milton, as I said, was wind damage. So we saw the trees on the homes as per the picture that I have here. That's a picture of all of our staff in the EOC prepping for the next day. And then the map is actually what we see in real time. So each one of those dots represents a home that was damaged during the storm. The green shaded areas represent areas where we didn't find any damage at. So we had 901 assessments we performed for that event. It took us twice as long to assess Milton as Helene. 114 damaged or destroyed homes. We had 253 major, 166 minor, and 374 affected homes. We also, as Shelby mentioned, we had damage here in City Hall. So the parking lots experienced flooding. We had some interior of City Hall flooded, which led to water damage from multiple offices, including the Community Development Department. Oh, too fast. Sorry about that. So the Community Development Department, currently we have our building and our permitting division at the community center. Also, the housing division is there, so we're running a satellite permit office out of there right now. We're open 8 to 4, Monday through Friday. The rest of community development is in the library, so that's our community standards, our planning, our economic development, and then our administration is also there. And that is my presentation. Thank you, guys.
Still at the library? No.
I do not actually know the answer to that question. I haven't been to the library yet.
Botanical garden.
Botanical garden.
Botanical gardens.
Okay.
They're at the Botanical Gardens, right, Chief?
Yeah. Cody will know that.
All right, any questions for anybody? Vice Mayor Gerard.
Chief, I understand the population at Largo High School prior to the storm hitting got up to around 2,800 people. Is that the number, or was it higher or lower?
About 2,800 people, yes.
2,800 people. That's quite a crowd.
It's definitely quite a crowd.
Were there any incidents there, or was it were people pretty well behaved, or?
You want me to step up here to speak?
Sure. If you want.
We didn't have any incidents of note. I know they've kicked a few people out. When people get rowdy, they'll kick them out, but there was nothing as far as police interactions. Like Cody said, they delivered a baby.
You didn't kick her out, did you?
What's that?
You didn't kick her out?
No, we did not kick her out.
Because quite a disturbance, I suppose.
That would be 2,801 then, right?
That's right. That's
I saw a couple teachers today that were requesting to know what room it was in, just so they know. Because I think there's a point of pride with that.
That's HIPAA information. I can't share
that. Okay, thank you. And Shelby, are you here? Thanks, Chiefs. At Environmental Services, you're handling, I heard, 40 million gallons an hour? I thought
Per day.
per day, okay.
Yes, so we were
That's a
in the
lot,
40s for both storms. We actually peaked at 50
Yeah.
for Milton, which has happened one other time in our chief operator's memory, who's been around for over 20 years.
Were there any significant sewage spills or backups that you know of?
We did have to bypass the effluent pumps, so it went through treatment, but the effluent pumps could not keep up with what was going out. So we did end up putting treated water into the stormwater pond, which actually makes its way into the bayou out back. I did ask Diane for the address of the gentleman that spoke earlier to make sure that we didn't miss something. It sounded like sewage was in one of the public comment speakers' homes, so we
Yes,
do want
and
to
I
catch
wasn't
that.
aware of any backups into any homes or establishments, but.
So I do want to check on that. There were a few overflows throughout the city, but not nearly as many as we would have expected with this level of event. But we will check on that gentleman's
All right.
address.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Commissioner Holmes.
Well, to all the department heads and all the team players, kudos to all of you, because you really went above and beyond the call of duty, but, there aren't adequate words to describe how well the city functioned during all of that. But it's too bad that we didn't sit there and make more notes, because the information that you presented, you could probably sit here for 2 or 3 hours going through every little thing there and just nitpick it. But I will say one thing, though, the pile of debris in front of my home, it's so well guarded, no one has stolen any of it.
Thank you. Any other questions? Well, great job, everybody. I was able to go to the high school where the shelter was, and the difference from a few years ago and just mentality of the people there, and I think it's because of the way that it's being run by the cooperation from our police department, our fire department, of course, the principal and the high school team there, and the volunteers and the staff from the county really are on the same page. I hate to say this, but we're getting a reputation of having a good shelter, but there's still other shelters available for people that are evacuating. Because when I saw the graph of shelter population at about noon on Wednesday, we were triple any other shelter in the whole county. So we were near that 2,800 number. But leading up to the event and the response right after, you guys did a great job. And we can't be prepared for everything, but we can certainly do our best. And thank you for everything you've done. Vice Mayor Gerard.
Yeah, just one final comment. My wife and I evacuated. We were in C.
You were sleeping when I was there, by the way. Like I said, 1 o'clock.
That's because I was up all night because of people snoring. So, but I just want to tip my hat to all the people from Recreation, Parks, and Arts. There were several hundred people there, a lot of children running around at the Performing Arts Center. And they just did an extraordinary job keeping people safe and calm. They closed the shutters when the storm was approaching. And I have to admit that I was among a few people who said, can't you at least open one of them so we can see what's going on? But they said, no, you're locked down. But just an outstanding job. The planning and the execution, as Commissioner Holmes said, there's just not words to explain or to convey what a wonderful job they did. So thank you all. And if we ever have to evacuate again, I told my wife I'm getting one of those giant mattresses that everybody brought in, and she said we're getting a hotel room.
Commissioner Holt, thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to extend also my gratitude to our city and the amazing job that was done during both storms. So my home was a victim of the first hurricane, or the first, Helene. And I had gotten a dumpster from our Public Works Department for purging. That's how I clean. It's just easier to get a dumpster and dump it all at one time, and instead of filling my green can, 15 weeks of doing that. But anyway, so when we came back Friday morning after the storm, I said to my husband, oh, the city must have needed this dumpster for something because it wasn't in front of my house anymore. So we went in, we're assessing our damage. We had about 2.5 feet of water in our house, and I called the city. I'm like, did you guys come pick up your dumpster? And they're like, no. I said, well, then somebody stole it, and because it's not in front of my house anymore. And my husband called me out, and the dumpster had gone from my house here, diagonal, floated with the water, diagonal across the street to our neighbor's house, and was literally between their house and a palm tree, with the two little forklift things with the palm tree in the middle of it. And so I called back and spoke with Ann Rock, and I said, well, I found my dumpster. And she's like, did somebody steal it? I said, yeah, Helene. So Public Works came out, and they were like, wow, we're going to have to go back and try and use our minds here to figure out how to get this out without cutting down the palm tree or damaging these people's house. And how it didn't damage the front of their house was amazing. It just literally stopped and dropped right there. But Public Works came back out. They emptied what we had in there. They put 4 chains in the middle of it with a claw truck. The other chains are on the claw truck, and lifted it and just enough off the ground to maneuver it between the house and the palm tree without doing any damage. But it was amazing to watch, and our neighbors were out there filming and applauding and amazed at. But that was just one small thing, because once they started the collection of all the debris from, I think there's 61 houses on our street, in our neighborhood. We're all off of Allen's Creek, but they were relentless. And 6 o'clock in the morning, you could hear the trucks out there and just picking up all the debris and preparing us for what Milton was going to bring to us, because that's all, we were just, I know that Milton, if it had hit the way it should have, none of us on that street or in that neighborhood would have had houses left. But But I drove through the city as much as I could to see what was going on and transpiring, and it was just mind-blowing to watch all of you out there just doing your jobs and trying to make it as safe as possible during Milton. And it just, I love this city. That's why I sit up here. That's why I just, my gratitude towards everybody is, you can't put into words. What we all experienced, everybody who experienced losses, every day I just tell myself, you know, we're in North Carolina, there's so much more to lose. We lost a lot of material things, but we're still here, and we will come back and we will build better and stronger. And I keep telling myself, my light at my end of my tunnel that keeps me from crying is, I'm going to get my new kitchen that I've wanted for so long. It's kind of a hard way of getting it, but you have to look at the positive, and the neighborhoods have been, all the neighbors have been great. Like somebody was saying earlier about everybody just helping each other. You know, if I had downtime, we were down at this house, or they were at my house, or, you know, all around our circle. So, but the city workers that just were amazing. Everybody was, and from my bottom of my heart, and everybody that I've spoken with, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you all for the update. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Could I hear the consent docket, please?
Item 6, appointment of Commissioner Donna Holt to the City of Largo's Audit Committee. Item 7, reappointment of Mary Rivera Martin as a member of the Personnel Advisory Board. Item 8, authorization to purchase managed print services from Total Prints Dex Imaging in accordance with contract 440000-NASPO-19-ACS in the estimated amount of $188,700. Item 9, authorization to purchase computer equipment from CDWG in accordance with Sourcewell contract number 081419 in the amount of $573,200. Item 10, authorization to enter into a continuing services contract with Bryant Miller Olive for labor and employment legal services. Item 11, approval of memorandum of understanding, parentheses MOU, between the City of Largo and the Suncoast Police Benevolent Association Incorporated, parentheses PBA, supervisory lieutenants, increasing paid parental leave from 4 to 6 weeks effective October 1st, 2024. Item 12, approval of memorandum of understanding, parentheses MOU, between the City of Largo and the Suncoast Police Benevolent Association Incorporated, parentheses PBA, officers and sergeants, increasing paid parental leave from 4 to 6 weeks effective October 1st, 2024. Item 13, approval of memorandum of understanding, parentheses MOU, between the City of Largo and the Pinellas County Professional Firefighters, IAFF Local 4966 Supervisory Unit, increasing paid parental leave from 4 to 6 weeks effective October 1st, 2024. Item 14, approval of memorandum of understanding, parentheses MOU, between the City of Largo and the Communications Workers of America, parentheses CWA, increasing paid parental leave from 4 to 6 weeks effective October 1st, 2024. Item 15, authorization to purchase tree planting services and plant material from Wise Hands LLC in the estimated amount of $100,000 in accordance with Pinellas County bid number 23-0713-ITB. Item 16, authorization to extend builder's risk insurance through Wallace, Welch, and Willingham for the Horizon West Bay project in an amount not to exceed $180,000.
Mr. Gerard, we're trying to have a meeting up here. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Item 17, authorization to purchase cable TV and internet services from Spectrum Incorporated in the estimated amount of $203,800 for fiscal year 2025. Item 18, authorization to purchase cellular voice and data wireless services from Verizon Wireless for fiscal year 2025 in the estimated amount of $474,000. Item 19, authorization to purchase Centranet telephone voice services for fiscal year 2025 from the State of Florida Department of Management Services in the estimated amount of $67,600 for the period of October 1st, 2024 through September 30th, 2025. Item 21, authorization to purchase new fire rescue vehicles from Allen J. Fleet Sales and 10-8 Fire Equipment Incorporated in accordance with Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Contracts number 2025-091521-NAF and 032824-NAF, number 113021-OKC-1, number 2024-091521-NAF, and 060920-NAF, and the Florida Sheriff's Association contract number FSA 23VEF 17 in the estimated amount of $1,678,800. And item 22, authorization to purchase mowing services utilizing a walking excavator for ditches, creeks, and drainage conveyances from All Around Maintenance and Rehabs 2, LLC, parentheses AAM, utilizing School Board of Pinellas County, Florida, contract number 24-968-033 in the estimated amount of $247,000.
Thank you. You've heard the consent docket. I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the consent docket without commission discussion, including staff background provided in the commission packets.
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Item number 20, Commissioner Holmes.
I only have one question. This is an easy one.
Okay.
You don't need any military. What do you do with the old trucks?
They go to auction.
Do we trade them in?
We do, but we do select the best ones to keep as our reserves.
So the other ones, I mean, we don't burn them up, I gather. Just, that's a
Well,
joke.
maybe the ones that we had for the 7 years, those are a little in tough shape, but yes, we do send them to auction.
How do we fare on that? Just curiosity.
Oh, actually do not know. I would have to get back to you on that.
It's not that important. It's just, if you knew it off the top of your head, other than that, don't bother.
Well, because of the backlog, I don't think we've sent one for a long time because we've had to hold on to them.
Yeah, I don't think we'll get as much out of these as we typically would because we've had these for a while.
Yep, so these will be replacing 7-year-old ones. We typically have a 5-year replacement schedule.
That's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
All right. Well,
that was easy.
I will find the last auction.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Commission Director.
I move to approve authorization to purchase 5 replacement front loaders from the Department of Public Works Solid Waste Division from Florida, Kenworth, in accordance with the Florida Sheriff's Association contract number FSA 23VEH-21-1 in the estimated amount of $2,133,690.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. Next up is item number 23, a development agreement 21-002.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Commission. It's a pleasure to present this item to you. This is a continuation of the item which originally was before you at the August 20th City Commission meeting. So just a quick background over the development agreement. The original agreement was executed in March of 2023, which did permit the development of a 276-unit mixed-use development with ground floor commercial retail space at the 500-600 blocks of West Bay Drive. And then looking back at the original amended terms that were reviewed by you, the main difference in the amended project is the increase in scale. You see there in the image that little area highlighted in red, that was proposed to be included within the project scope, which would increase the allowable density of the project to 284 units versus the 276 originally proposed. Additionally, now, instead of having a parking garage incorporated into both buildings A and B of the project, there would now be a single consolidated garage on the building on the 500th block with a covered walkway spanning between the properties. Everything else in the original terms of DA 21-002 would remain the same. And just looking at a refresher of the new site plan, and you can see there in the middle that proposed walkway connecting the two buildings. There have been ongoing discussions with the applicant group regarding the nature of the project and a discussion about the timelines and deadlines of the various agreements that go into the project. At this time, the time frame of when these agreements would be approved is not concrete enough for staff to recommend a further continuation of the item, and therefore we do recommend denial at this time of DA 21-002. Moving forward, any associated agreements with the project, whether amended or otherwise, would come before you for final approval and review. And naturally, as per usual, post-development agreement process, the project would be required to go through its full-scale site plan review sequence for development order and host its requisite neighborhood information meeting. I did also want to note that the applicant group was not able to be in attendance this evening due to various Milton-related impacts to their homes, businesses, et cetera, but they did want me to convey to you that they wanted me to express their continued dedication and enthusiasm to continue working with the city to keep this project moving forward. So that being said, that concludes the presentation. Staff's available for questions.
Thank you. Do we have any cards?
I have one card for Craig Murtha.
Okay, so I love this project, like I said before, and I think it's going to be a huge catalyst when we finally get something. It'll be a huge catalyst to have all that extra new housing. And I especially love the developer, Property Markets Group. I've been on their website, and every time I go on there, I'm just more impressed with the buildings that they're building in New York and Miami and Sarasota and St. Petersburg. It's just spectacular stuff. And that's why, you know, when I see that we're getting a 5/1, which, you know, that's what it looks like to me, meaning one story of retail with 5 stories on top. To me, that's just so common. They're building them all across the country, and I just don't think that's something that we're going to, that's going to bring anybody in. I mean, you look at downtown St. Petersburg, you look at Beach Drive. I stood across the street near the big banyan tree the other day, and I looked at it. I wish I had a panoramic camera to see all the cool buildings, all the eclectic architecture, and the small buildings and tall buildings and the ins and the outs, and I thought, wow, on those 2 blocks, if we could raise those height limits to 15 or 20 stories, I'll bet you that, I don't know, maybe the developer's very happy doing the 6-story 5/1. But man, it seems like we're missing a generational opportunity. When will we ever get 2 city blocks again? And I tell you, if I wasn't a nobody in this town, if I was you, Mayor, I'd call them up and say, hey, what if we could go 15 or 20 stories? Just something conceptual. What could you do? In my mind, what I could see 2 towers. Like 4 stories of parking garage underneath, topped by 16 stories of luxury condos, wrapped. And since you have much smaller footprints, I would wrap both towers all the way around with retail. And then around that retail, I'd have tables and chairs and trees and public gathering. It would be a moonshot for downtown Largo, not just a catalyst, a moonshot. And we have this fear of heights. Look at that building they built, that 9-story building they built over near Taylor Park that's still there to this day. And that was like 40-something years ago. And here we are, down to 6 stories. I don't know what's happened to this town. This Property Markets Group is doing an 18-story building in Sarasota. Sarasota is a much smaller town than us. And they've got a multitude of 15-story buildings and higher. I think one of them's like 25 stories. They're doing an 18-story building called One Park Sarasota. It's a work of art. All of their stuff, all of their tall buildings are a work of art. They're spectacular. They're visionary. It's just, man, we should just let them go. I mean, I know like this much about downtown redevelopment, and maybe you guys know this much. They know this much. We should just let them. We should let them. I mean, you know, to have some kind of a floor area ratio and maybe hold it to the units per acre, maybe transfer the units that you could build on this site up to this ridge up there. And I think we should raise the height limits on the entire ridge. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was all the cards.
Thank you. Any questions from the commission?
I move to deny the First Amendment to Development Agreement DA 21-002.
Second. I did have a question about, I understand there was just a hurricane and the developer couldn't be here. Are they aware that this is likely to be denied or recommended to be denied today about?
They are aware, Mayor, yes.
Okay. And because I hate to send the wrong message, right? Because as patient as we are, we're still excited about this project. Like, I looked through the attachments, and I kind of like it better now with the courtyard on that 600 block in the middle, like ground level activity area. So I, for one, at least, am still excited about this project, and Mr. Murtha is too, I think, even though I'd like it to be taller. And so I don't want to give them the wrong impression with the denial of this amendment, and so as long as you give me some confidence that it won't, I'm good.
And they conversely also wanted to communicate that their lack of attendance tonight does not reflect their ongoing enthusiasm to see the project move forward.
Yeah, no, I understand that, and it's, you know, I almost wasn't here tonight, but no, I'm just kidding, I actually. But you know, certainly there's a lot of people that are very, you know, transportation's hard. A lot of people are very strongly affected by the storms recently, and I understand that that doesn't reflect poorly on them at all, I don't think. Commissioner Smith.
Am I correct that they were kind of reaching out to the county looking for financial assistance or something to benefit them? And also, is there any realistic opportunity that's going to be there? And has the county reached out to us to talk to anybody from staff about this project?
In conversations with the applicant, you know, Pinellas County is going through a very similar difficult time as us, and a lot of their staff have been in their various EOC roles as well. So they've had difficulty reaching out to the county in the past couple of weeks, but the efforts have been made by all indications.
Okay, but this was denied a while ago. Or not denial, but when it first brought to us to continue, when they were talking about it, there was no conversation up to this point?
Not to my understanding.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Robinson.
Yeah, thanks. So I just want an explanation, a little bit more of an in-depth explanation as to the reasoning for the recommendation of denial.
So there are, like, as I mentioned, there's a large number of agreements associated with this between the repurchase, the density intensity averaging, and a lot of those agreements and how those are crafted are dependent on the final scope of the project that moves forward and is tied to a development agreement. At this time, we are not concrete enough in what the timeline is going to look like for the project to move forward to continuing the item forward, because otherwise we would just keep continuing it without being entirely sure if the scale of the development agreement that you reviewed previously would remain the same.
Okay.
Do you expect that there likely will be a need for a brand-new development agreement, most likely regardless?
It's possible, but we could also move forward with an amendment to the agreement that they had approved originally.
Okay, fair enough. Vice Mayor Gerard.
Yeah, I just want to make clear that I move to deny in accordance with staff, understanding that this project still has life, and it's just a matter of details that we're working on right now, and rather than approving something when all the details are still up in the air, and with PMG understanding that we're still in love with them, that we're just denying this for right now until we can come back with a more solid plan.
That's
correct?
Yes.
Right. So we're not trying to kill anything or nix anything. We're just saying, you know, everybody needs to be a little bit more solid ground.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Very good. I do have a motion and a second. Commissioner Robinson?
Sure. So what's the path forward look like after this then? If we move forward with denial, then what does it look? What's the path look like?
So once those internal conversations amongst the PMG team, the city conclude, and we have a final product, depending on what that product looks like, in theory, we could, and I might ask the attorney to confirm this or not, but if denied here, could we move forward directly to first reading again, or would it need to start over again if it's the same development agreement, as an example?
It would be a new amendment, so, because this amendment would fail, so they would move forward, they would just go back through the process, because it would be a new amendment, I believe, you know, based on my understanding of the changes.
So to answer your question, Commissioner Robinson, essentially we would go through the process again. We would present you potentially a new set of terms to review before crafting the agreement and going through the steps that have been previously outlined before.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner Holmes.
Why didn't you just have it postponed?
We had to move this forward because the first reading, or this reading, was a public hearing, so we couldn't just take the item off the agenda. Because we continued it to the date certain, we had to bring it before you tonight and save from continuing it again. The only other option was to deny.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. Thank you for your descriptions as well. Next is Resolution 2407.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. The purpose of this item is for City Commission's approval to adopt a moratorium on the collection of temporary event permit application fees in the amount of $75 per application in honor of Largo's Small Business Month. This will be the 13th year that the City of Largo Commission has recognized Small Business Month during November to create awareness of the impact local businesses have on the quality of life in the City of Largo and in making us the community of choice. The moratorium will provide Largo's businesses an opportunity to host various events, such as sidewalk sales, on-site promotional events, at no charge to them in anticipation of the upcoming holiday shopping season. Although the $75 fee will not be charged, businesses must still submit the temporary event permit application prior to the event. In 2023, a total of 12 businesses applied for the temporary event in the month of November, and we hope many more will this year. The city will also be conducting a social media campaign throughout the month of November that will shine a spotlight on Largo's small businesses and share their small business why. Businesses who submit a Small Business Month business information form will be featured on the city's social media pages. Businesses are encouraged to submit an information form at largo.com/smallbiz to participate in this free social media campaign. And lastly, in recognition of these small businesses, we encourage our residents and visitors to shop local during the month of November. Thank you.
Resolution number 2407, a resolution of the City of Largo, Florida, adopting a one-month moratorium on temporary event permit fees for commercial and multifamily developments, providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Do we have any cards on this?
We have no cards.
Any questions?
I move to approve resolution number 2407.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Yeah. I'm supportive. I've supported this, and I think it's a good thing. And I brought it up at the last time. 12 out of 3,800 businesses.
I know.
I feel like we need, I know we're trying to do
Commissioner Smith,
more.
I'm going to go ahead and ask if there were any nays.
No.
All right, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry.
Go on. Sorry.
I get that it's very difficult to get to a lot of businesses, and we're a big city, but could we maybe continue doing this throughout the entire year to build up to this month? And are we doing that? Different ways to think outside the box to get more than 12 businesses? Or have we done like roundtables with businesses to think of different ways they're looking for?
We have. We've shared this information during our downtown business meetings. We've asked, is this something that, are they willing to participate in? And generally consensus is yes. Okay. We've asked, is it something they would be, more open to do throughout the year if we were to waive these fees? And it's something we've looked at. And I think we're going to get more this year. We've been getting a lot of attraction, specifically on the social media aspect on it. I've been getting emails already asking for, when is that website going to open, because we shut it down. Okay. And then we have a different website that they can use to reach us. But one specifically for Small Business Month, we shut down after November, just so we can kind of keep a metric on how many come in. But they've been reaching out to us asking, when is it open? We'd love to have our business featured again. So I really hope we have more than 12 this year. 12, it sounds terrible, but the previous year, I think it was 7, and before that, I believe it was 5. So I'd love to see a lot more.
Okay, and could we maybe work with like with the paper? I mean, not very many people read papers these days, but like getting the information to them to kind of get it out to the businesses or ideas, but maybe instead of just a business through the month. Like I've had other cities that promote small businesses every other month, a business kind of thing. What we used to do at the work session, but instead they do it on social media where you do a video or something like that for them or something different. I just thinking differently, and I know I'm rambling, but
No worries.
I think we could do so many different things, and if we had cards and stuff like that, if you have those, I'll pass them out for you to help out. I
Awesome.
have no problem with that.
So we did create, it's called the Small Business Connect card. So after last year's success with the social media, we created a card. It looks like a business card, and there's a QR code on the back of it. And there's also a website too, but you can scan it with your phone, and it goes to a very similar website as the Small Business Month one does. And it's just a way that we can connect with businesses, and it doesn't even have to be for them to want to be featured on social media. It can just be if they have questions or need help or assistance. It's just a different way that we can reach out to them.
Okay.
And I'm happy to give you a stack of those.
Yes, please, definitely. And then one last kind of thing is with the businesses that we promote, there's ones that are very active in our city kind of deal that usually are the same ones. When you talk about they still have to get the permit for the safety reasons, do other cities do that, or do they just sit there and say, we waive the permit, you don't have to come in, or do they still require them?
They still do. The ones that we've looked at do, and I think it's a safety thing just to make sure that we're aware of what they're doing, just so it's not like the Wild West, just running wild. And we did try to kind of, or not really kind of, but we pushed and stressed to them that even though they pull the permit or they file for it, the fee is waived in November. They don't have to hold that event in November. If they have a holiday event or a New Year's event or even in January, they can pull the permit in November. The fee is waived even for then. So,
okay. All right.
So it's not just locked down for November.
Okay.
It's just the fee is waived then.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Robinson.
Thank you. I absolutely fully support this. And I just wanted to kind of, speaking to Commissioner Smith, for several years prior to being elected and after being elected, I was the head of the Downtown Largo Merchants Association. I can tell you that that's all I did every day for every day, all day, is try to get people involved in having events in our downtown area. And it's hard. It takes, first of all, a lot of these businesses are mom and pops, and that's the only thing they can do is they can barely keep their doors open. So, having an extra event outside of that is a lot. And there's also just, some people just, that's not their interest, right? That's not how they want to promote themselves. So just so you know, I fully believe that we are doing a great job of advertising and promoting the ability to hold events in the city of Largo. We are doing more and more every year, not only from our small business standpoint, but just across the board. And it's really bringing a lot more recognition and gratitude towards the city of Largo. So, 12 is not a big number, but I can tell you that, having been in those shoes and having tried to do those things, it is extremely tough to get people interested in doing those types of events for a multitude of reasons. So don't hold that number against anybody in this room. It has a lot to do with the people who are running those businesses as well.
Thank you. Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you.
Next is resolutions number 2408, 2409, and 2410.
Way to keep talking, Jamie. You're welcome, buddy.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Cheryl Reed. I'm the Director of the Community Development Department. And as a follow-up to your request from the October 1st City Commission meeting, you have before you this evening for consideration 3 resolutions that specifically pertain to Hurricane Helene. So you'll see that the first one there addresses the temporary reduction of certain building permit fees for emergency repairs. Because of the nature of Hurricane Helene, we wanted to extend the amount of time that property owners would have in order to obtain those permits and to complete that work. So the length is a little bit longer than you've seen in previous hurricane resolutions of this type. So we're proposing 120 days for the first resolution that deals with certain types of building permits. You will also note, different from previous ones that you've seen in recent years, there is language proposed in the resolution as part of a discussion that's happening at the countywide level with regards to whether this type of waiver should be specifically for homeowners that have homesteaded property and/or have applied for homesteaded, designation on their property. So that's what is outlined in the first resolution. I'll move, and let me just say, if we were to find out that 120 days is not a sufficient amount of time, city staff will be monitoring that, and we will be happy to bring forward an extension to that timeline if we find that 120 days has not given our homeowners sufficient time in which to complete those repairs. As you know, based on the storm surge of that particular storm, there are property owners that will be doing extensive work to their home. The second resolution proposes to temporarily waive fence permits and fees for 60 days. That has been very typical, and that has been what you have seen repeatedly in recent hurricanes as well. And then the last resolution is also a little bit different. This is more along the lines of what the city did during Hurricane Irma, and that is to temporarily waive the requirement for a tree removal permit for a total of 60 days. So as you're already seeing around the community, it's particularly in terms of power restoration, it's extremely important for homeowners to be able to immediately get those trees removed that are causing our power lines to come down and impacting our grid. So we want to make sure that homeowners are not hung up with trying to deal with permits. Regardless of what type of property it is, this would apply to both residential properties, commercial properties, institutional properties. They do not need to obtain a tree removal permit for the next 60 days, is what we've proposed for your consideration this evening. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions. Resolution number 2408, a resolution of the City of Largo, Florida, temporarily reducing building permit fees for permits required for single and two-family homes and accessory structures located on homesteaded properties damaged due to Hurricane Helene, providing for an effective date. Resolution number 2409, a resolution of the City of Largo, Florida, temporarily waiving the requirement to obtain a fence permit for the repair of a fence damaged by Hurricane Helene for single and two-family residential properties, temporarily reducing the fee for a fence permit for the repair of a fence damaged by Hurricane Helene on multifamily and commercial properties, and temporarily reducing the fee for a fence permit for a complete fence replacement of a fence damaged by Hurricane Helene on all properties, providing for an effective date. Resolution number 2410, a resolution of the City of Largo, Florida, temporarily waiving the requirement to obtain a tree removal permit for trees heavily damaged by Hurricane Helene for all property types, providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Do we have any cards on any of these?
We do not.
Commissioner Robinson.
Yep. So Cheryl, it says, you were talking earlier, about homesteaded properties. It's only good for homesteaded properties.
For the first resolution that deals with any emergency repairs, and that would include roof replacement.
Can you explain the reasoning behind that?
That is a conversation that's been happening at the countywide level with city administrators across our county. So that was something that we proposed in the ordinance, in the resolution. But of course, that's open to your direction this evening.
Yeah, I just don't understand the reasoning behind it. I can, maybe the city manager can speak to it, but if it's an emergency and somebody lives in that property, if it's a rental house and somebody doesn't, they would not be able to have those fees reduced?
So, Mayor, if I may, Commissioner, the idea behind the resolutions is to grant relief from the cost of the permits.
I understand.
And so the idea was that commercial property owners don't need the relief from the cost because they have commercial insurance and other backups to actually pay the fees that the
I think it's, and it may be true, but I think it's setting a bad precedent. It looks bad visually, and I think it's setting a bad precedent. I think the goal here is to just get houses repaired, regardless of whether it's a commercial property or a rental property or whatever it is. That's my opinion. Happy to have a discussion with the rest of the commission about that, but yeah, I cannot support this with excluding those properties.
Thank you. Commissioner Johnson.
Do we have an idea of the amount of the reduction in fees? Like it says we're going to reduce them, but do we have some, is it a percentage base? What's our thoughts on the reduction in fees, the permit fees?
Given the scope of the damage from both of these hurricanes, and we'll be talking about Hurricane Milton next, we wanted to propose a total waiver on the fees. Because we do believe that our community has been impacted, and I think you saw earlier this evening the numbers that Assistant Building Official Matt Butler shared with you. So we do anticipate that our community does need us to be there to help them through the permitting process and to be able to help them get through that process as quickly as possible with as little pain, both including financial pain, as possible.
So this reduction means no fees, at least in most cases?
Correct.
For homeowners?
Correct.
Residents, okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Hulk.
So I had written down basically what Commissioner Robinson had spoke about, because I'm leaning, I feel the same as he does as far as like rental properties. So those people that live in rental properties, whether it's duplex or what have you, are at the mercy of the owners of those properties to have repairs done. So I mean, like I said, I feel like Commissioner Robinson does that. I just feel like that there are some properties that are outside of that scope of just property owners. That it affects people who are in rental properties, whether, so my first thought was to a duplex, okay? Maybe an apartment complex, yes, they're gonna carry a lot more insurance and they're gonna really protect their properties, but you see so many, you hear the term slumlords so often, and depending on how the insurance companies are handling whether they had flood insurance or whether they had the right insurance for those properties, I just feel like it's going to maybe make some of these property owners hesitate taking care of the people that are living there. I was watching mold grow before my eyes. The amount of time that you have to address these situations is very minimal, within 2 days. If you have carpeting or, your walls have any kind of damage. So any kind of hesitation on somebody who has property owner, yeah, they're going to attack it. You get it done. But I don't feel the same sometimes about landlords. And I want these people that are living in rentals to be protected. So, and I know that a permitting fee can be $0, $10. I honestly don't know the prices of all our permitting fees or what they're getting permits for, but I just know that these situations have to be addressed and it has to be accessible for protect our renters as well as our homeowners in our city. That's just how I feel. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just going to add to that a little bit. I mean, not just the duplexes and small little rental homes, but a lot of small businesses in Largo probably don't have insurance. They have liability insurance maybe, but they may not insure their building because it's like a small old house that they've got a business that they're running out of, and the cost of insurance has quadrupled in the last 4 years. I should have talked to the senator about that while he was here. So they don't have insurance to lean on, and anything helps them. And it also puts a timeline on it. 120 days. That's a deadline, right? You can fix it in these 120 days, whether it's an apartment or a house that somebody lives in, or a little business that had a roof damage or windows or whatever they were. They can fix it. You got to pay for the fix still, but we're not going to charge them for 120 days. Here's your timeline. I think it's good to take that out and make it for anybody that was damaged during the storm. I just want to add that. Commissioner, Vice Mayor Gerard.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, we're not charging fees right now, are we?
We are not.
Okay. Is that applying only to homesteaded properties right now?
It probably is not. It probably is not only applying to homesteaded properties at the moment. Part of what our new system allows us to do is to, begin the process of a permit and for property owners to pay at a later point. If we, depending on your decisions this evening, we could still require a payment from, for instance, a property that might be owned by an LLC.
Okay, so is it possible that somebody would apply for a permit right now and think they're not going to be charged, and then come back later and say, no, you have to pay for the permit? Is that my understanding
It would be theoretically possible, yes.
That doesn't make you many friends. But, I understand you have a job to do, and I respect your work immensely, so please don't mind that I'm a smart aleck sometimes, okay? If somebody would propose an amendment to remove the language in item 2, beginning with the word located and ending with the state of Florida parentheses, that would eliminate, that would remove the restriction to just homesteaded properties. So I would be okay with making a motion to remove that language. I don't know if I'd get a second. I don't know if that's the right time. You think you might second?
I will second that.
Okay.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Commissioner Johnson had a question.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I think, initially, I definitely, I can see, I happen to know there's several private equity companies that own like tons of houses in Florida, and, I feel like waiving their permit fees is, maybe not doing a service to all of our residents, but I do absolutely understand we have small people that own duplexes that are, they're renting out the other side as an Airbnb. That's a different situation. And so I think we got to balance that. And I think, and again, I appreciate the mayor bringing it up. There's plenty of small businesses that are struggling now as well. They're closed. They haven't been, they're not getting traffic, and they're going to be struggling as well. And so anything we can do to help them as well. Again, assuming they're not going to, do a giant remodel of their whole place because they have to repair a window, and we're, funding that. But I know we're making those decisions, if they make sense to the scope of a storm damage issue, right?
Yes, we are.
So, thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. I do have a motion and a second to amend and remove that language. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. That was for resolution number 2408.
Yes, only, yeah.
I'll take a motion on the resolution.
I move to approve resolution numbers 2408 as amended, 2409, and 2410.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. Next is resolutions number 2411, 2412, 2413. Should sound familiar.
Yes, so this is the same series of resolutions specifically for Hurricane Milton. And so if the commission so chose, if there was a desire to make that same change, obviously staff is prepared to make those changes.
So I would move to remove the language regarding homesteaded properties in the resolution 2411.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
So I move to approve resolution numbers 2411 as amended, 2412, and 2413.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I hope this actually streamlines your work back on
It will, thank you.
Ordinance number 2025-06.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for allowing me to be here to present the team member employment guidelines updates. For those of you I have not had the opportunity to meet yet, I'm Elisa Long, the HR director. So these updates are required to be approved by the City Commission as directed in our charter, as these outline our city's personnel rules. A majority of the updates are grammar cleanup, format cleanup, and clarification of existing practices and definitions. Substantive changes include expanding approval authority to the assistant city managers, where city manager approval is required, codifying personal time off and short-term disability for non-represented staff, as was previously approved by the commission in the budget, and streamlining team members' grievance processes for non-represented staff. All union representatives have reviewed and agreed to the changes, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Ordinance number 2025-06, an ordinance of the City of Largo, Florida, amending the City of Largo team member employment guidelines, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date.
Thank you. Do we have any cards?
We do not.
Any questions from the commission? Commissioner Smith?
On page 46, relating to, we were talking earlier as a proclamation for domestic violence, I'm very happy we included the domestic violence leave for team members that need some time to address issues in their family. I really think that's something that, I appreciate y'all looking at that and putting that in there. And also the Family Leave Act, expanded to 4 to 6, that's definitely needed. I do have a question, and it's probably not in this or in a later one, but with the storm that we just went through, are we let's say an employee has damaged their home, are we requiring them to take vacation time, PTO, to deal with that, or can we make adjustments for them to be able to, like, we've never, I mean, not never, but I know a handful of employees that had some major damage and they're having to work and then make phone calls and stuff like that. Are we working with them and giving them time, or are we making them use vacation time?
We are absolutely working with those team members. We are having them report up through their department directors any catastrophic loss that may have incurred to their homes or even a family member's home where they need time away from work. We are allowing them to utilize sick time for that time, as well as any vacation time that they have. But sick leave may also be donated should a team member need additional leave.
Okay. All right. I think it's predictable, but yeah, okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I move, I move to approve ordinance number 2025-06 on first reading and schedule a second reading and public hearing on November 19th, 2024.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you so much.
Next, it's not on the agenda, but we're going to talk about an emergency declaration resolution, I believe, right?
Yes. So this resolution, what we're doing is declaring a state of emergency, and we have backdated it to coincide with the date that the Pinellas County declared the state of emergency. And this is really just to grant the city manager a little more flexibility with procurement options as the city tries to move forward with recovery. So we wanted to give more flexibility and the ability to engage different contractors as needed with some of these revised procurement rules. So our procurement rules require a declaration of a state of emergency. So although we were under one, we were covered by the Pinellas County declaration. This one just kind of is the belt and suspenders for our own process.
Are we backdating that to Helene or to Milton?
Milton.
Or all the way back to Debbie?
No, we're keeping it with Milton, October 7th.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you. Do we need to read the resolution?
Oh, I have it right here. Okay. Resolution number 24-14, a resolution of the City of Largo, Florida, declaring a state of local emergency pursuant to Section 252.3A Florida statutes, waiving procedures and formalities during the period of such emergency, authorizing and directing the city manager to take whatever prudent actions may be necessary to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the community pursuant to this declaration, providing an effective date.
Thank you. Any questions?
I move to approve resolution 2024-14? Was that the right number?
Yep.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Commissioner Johnson.
Do we have an end date on this? Is there an end date to this?
So the city manager is able to extend it, and then it will be ratified by this board in 7-day periods, but it's either going to be when the county, when the state end terminates, or when he deems that we no longer require it.
I think there's actually state statute about states of emergency and how long they can be enforced. And I don't even know if they can be extended even once or so for the same emergency. This all followed on COVID.
Yeah, 7-day periods. So every 7 days they can, and as long as there's an emergency, and so since we're falling kind of under the county and under the state, we have it tied to that one. So there are some emergency orders are a little different than emergency declarations. This is weather related, so it's there's a little bit of a distinction with like the
Right.
COVID orders, but yeah, so it's every 7 days.
And I recall COVID, we had to extend them every 7 days early on, and then whoever, the governor, whoever ended.
Then the
need to do-
legislature, yeah,
then
clamped
the need
down
to
on
do
that. Yeah. So it said you local governments don't know what you're doing.
Well, they said we don't have to continue them every 7 days. I think. Went on for a little longer than that. So I do have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Who was the second? I don't think I got the second.
Commissioner Robinson was the motion.
That's all
I was the second,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Commissioner Johnson was the second, kind of quietly.
Nobody else?
And we all voted for it.
Everybody voted for it unanimously. And since you didn't introduce yourself, and you're relatively new up here,
I apologize.
the next thing on the agenda is items from the Assistant City Attorney Johnston.
Good evening, yes, Assistant City Attorney Johnston. I am covering for Alan Zimmett this evening. I did attend your last meeting. I did want to address an issue came up at the last meeting, a question about trees, what happens if a tree falls down? So we did the research, and essentially if the tree is healthy and it falls on 2 properties, each property owner is responsible for the portion that fell on their property. If the tree is otherwise damaged, diseased, or obviously in bad health, and it falls down, then the homeowner who failed to take care of the tree would be responsible for the damage and the removal.
Thank you.
I had a question about that, because somebody asked me about it. So if
Is
the
this
tree...
pertinent to anybody's home that you
I
know
thought we were
of?
starting to joke about trees.
No, but if the
tree
tree
falls down.
if
You have
the
to start
tree
this
is
with
in the
hypothetically.
easement, is the city responsible for it, or is so the homeowner's responsible for it?
Well, if the tree is diseased, it depends on if it's an easement we don't necessarily own. Just because we have an easement doesn't mean we own the property. We just have an easement for
So between the
drainage.
sidewalk and the road?
Yeah, it would depend on who owns the
It's the
property.
homeowners.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Somebody asked me about that, and I was like, I'm pretty sure you're still responsible for it, but...
Ask God.
Yeah, so there's certainly a difference between the easement and the right-of-way.
Yeah, I think that's what part of the
The
confusion.
right-of-way in many cases is owned by the city, and so they're responsible for the trees in that right-of-way.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Well, thank you. Commissioner Smith.
Was I up next? Oh, got thrown off there. Welcome aboard. I mean, it's my first time. And now I'm through a blank. Everybody sat there and was talking about our staff, and I am so proud of our staff, everything they do. I may sound like I'm coming off like an ass and butthead about certain things. Yeah, I know. But it's not. It's just me getting in the weeds of things. But I really do. Our staff do an awesome job, and they're coming together and doing the things they've done during this storm and before. I am so proud of every one of you. And as a city employee of another place, I give tons of kudos. Our library staff came into a building that had some issues, but seeing them and rallying behind to help our community at the time, to have a cooling place and a charging place, being able to walk in there and see people, and very appreciative that we could give them a place to be. And the biggest thing I also love was the community bonding. I hate a storm as the thing that brought community bonding. I met more of my neighbors through this, just sitting out on my front porch every night and without power, and just talking about things. And then after, seeing them all come rally together to help each other around the road and check on your senior citizens, and not even just seniors, everybody, and just ask what help you need. I had a lady who reached out for me from another state, checking on her aunt. Late at night, she was concerned because she had no ice, and I put her in contact with our police department. Our police department went out there and checked on her and provided her ice, and it was within not even an hour. So I thank our staff, our citizens. I'm proud of our city, and keep it up, and I love you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Holmes.
I'll keep it short.
No.
what he said mostly. On November 3rd, Largo's award-winning extraction team, that's from the fire department, is leaving for the Azores for the international competition of extraction teams. I believe we won the Florida games. I don't know if they did a U.S. one or not. Largo is scheduled to compete between the 4th and the 9th of November. So if you want to drop a line to the Largo Fire Department and just wish them well, I'm sure they would appreciate it. But that's November 3rd, they're leaving. That's Largo's award-winning extraction. That's the people that, if you get stuck in your car or something and they have to tear the car apart to save you, that's the extraction team. That's all, short and sweet.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Gerard.
I thought you were going to say, so if you want to go to the Azores, now's a good time.
You can go.
No, I'll be somewhere else.
Well, you're going to Nepal, though. Oh, never mind. No competition there.
So I set a timer so I don't go too long. This, very likely, this is my last regular commission meeting before I step down from the commission. I want to tell you what an honor and a pleasure it's been to work with all of you. I would put this commission is cordial and respectful of everyone, whether we agree with one another or not. We hold each other in high regard. We pay attention to what other people are saying. We respect what they're saying, and we treat that with great respect. This is the way a city ought to operate, and this is the way the commission ought to behave. I would love to see our example spread across the United States. Our staff is second to none. And even when I was playing with Cheryl a little bit, who's still out in the audience, because she stays to the bitter end, and with Will right behind her, my respect for this team and the effort that they put in, not only in getting things done, but in staying educated and on top of issues and knowing what they're talking about and bringing well-considered issues to the commission and recommendations. You just make my job so much easier. And when I ask a question, sometimes I do it just because I love to hear your answers. And it's outstanding. I'm going to miss the commission. It's time for me to step down. I don't want to be the old man up here holding a seat that somebody younger ought to have. And
is that a joke?
No. And I'm not making reference to any other commissioners. All right? But I am sitting next to a commissioner with whom I competed in an election, and we sit here and have a great time together, and that's the kind of cordiality that everybody ought to display in an elective office. If you're running for an elective office, understand this is a serious job. And I ran out of time, but I'm going to keep going for another minute. And somebody can tell me how to turn this on.
Throw it on the
Very
floor and
fitting.
stomp on it.
Take it outside. But this is a serious job, and you need to be educated. The decisions we make affect 84,000 people or more. And it's not something that you just do because it's something that you like to be on the commission. It's something you need to train for and educate yourself and make the commitment. It's not just that you think you'd like to do that. It'll stop after a while.
Just give it to the young guy on the end.
Give it to Carson.
Just throw it.
So please, understand that this is a job with a great responsibility. And I ran because I was willing to do that. And I hope whoever else is running. This is funny. But this is a serious job. And I'm proud to have been able to participate with you folks. We have an election coming up. Vote in the election. This is important, not just on a national level, but on a state level and a local level, and this affects your lives. And if you don't vote, don't complain. Just as Commissioner Holmes would always say, if you don't vote, don't complain. Don't complain about the outcome. And lastly, well, not lastly, because I wanted to say, if you don't like the fact that the traffic lights have been out and have been causing you grief, there's a great solution, and that's roundabouts. So look into roundabouts. But the final thing is, there's been a lot of misinformation and purposely bandied about not just information, but out-and-out lies about the response and the agencies responding to these hurricanes, and they are dangerous, and there's no good reason for anybody to lie about this, and it's putting some of our emergency responders and our emergency personnel in danger, and it's ridiculous. Understand that the people who are setting up in the emergency response centers and all that are doing an outstanding job, and that's what they're doing to bring help and relief to people. And I have friends who've already talked with a lot of them, and they are greatly relieved. So if anybody wants to spread anything about craziness, you can talk to me about it, because you ought to be ashamed. Thank you.
Woody, can I add one thing to that?
Please.
When you said this is the way government should operate, he should have also included state and federal, because if few people know.
All government. Yeah.
Eric and I, politically, we are as polar opposite as you can get.
No.
But I'm right. But I'm right. We all know that I'm right.
One of you's right.
But anyway, but needless to say, we haven't had any Jello fights up here to my knowledge. But anyway, gonna miss you.
I'm going to miss you too.
I don't think so.
Not as much as
Thank you. Commissioner Robinson.
I really don't want to follow. Nothing to do with that. I was going to actually compliment Matt Butler on the best shirt in the room tonight, because he outshone everyone. But
He'll make you one.
Commissioner Gerard, Vice Mayor Gerard, it has been an honor to work with you over the last 4 years. I truly appreciate your opinion and your decision making, and listening to some of your points of view have really helped me up here on a lot of my decision making. So I truly appreciate that. Sorry to see you go. I understand where you're at, and I understand why you're going. I do want to say I 100% agree with you about the roundabouts. So we'll get that going here soon. Seriously though, again, everybody is going to talk about the great job by our staff, our police, our fire. Every department in the city, really stood up and helped this community through a really, really challenging time, and are continuing to help today. I think Commissioner Smith spoke about the community. It was really nice to see the community come together. I really appreciate, I was the only one with a generator in like 3 or 4 houses, so I was able to provide coffee to a lot of my neighbors. I was able to provide breakfast to the city manager one morning. So, it's nice. It is. It's very unfortunate that it takes those types of events for the community to come together like that, but I am very appreciative of the fact that we are able to come together in a time of need. So that was great to hear, great to see. One little pet peeve I have about the whole situation is, Thursday morning I woke up and was very fortunate that my house was fairly undamaged. And so I went to go check on my mom's place, which is a few blocks away. It's a trailer. I had to go through a major intersection in the city walking, because I didn't want to be out on the road. I was shocked by the amount of people on the road at 7 o'clock in the morning after a life-threatening storm. Just drive it. There's no reason to be out. There's absolutely no reason to be out. And those are the same people who were in line creating, traffic and for gas, because they didn't, they're out just driving around. It's just infuriating to me that was going on. And there was a lot of, our police and fire officers and firefighters needed to be out and, providing services to our community. I already have a big enough challenge getting around down power lines and trees and all the other things without, a bunch of fools out there just seeing what's happening. So very aggravating, very frustrating. But again, thank you to all the staff. I think all in all, the city was extremely fortunate to come out on the way we did, and happy to see that, happy to see the community pulling together. So thank you for everyone.
Thank you. Commissioner Hulk.
Yes, first I would like to tell Vice Mayor Gerard that it has been a great pleasure working with you. I I know that we are also on opposite ends of a lot of things, but we always could meet in the middle and work together as a unit for the better of the citizens of Largo. And that is what our job is, and that's why we're here. It's about the citizens and not us. And maybe after you're retired, we can get together and have coffee and talk about roundabouts, and you can try and still convince me that they're the best thing going, because I still have a hard time with that. Yeah, we'll go round and round about the roundabouts. But I wish you the best in your retirement, and enjoy your life. Also, I'm not going to keep reiterating about our staff, because we've all said it and we all feel it. And I'm going to stick with there's no I in team. And our staff has proven that time and time again. And it takes everybody to make a city work. I would also like to thank Mr. Kerp for your constant updates and total transparency with the commission, and keeping us informed about every step. It was greatly appreciated. I was able to relate to, people where we were at, what we were doing when people would contact us. So I truly appreciate all of the contact that you made with us during both storms. So thank you. And I wish everybody the best. Anybody who had personal or family or some friends that have experienced devastation, just keep on keeping on, helping them and working together as a community. And as Commissioner Smith said, I love everybody here, everybody in the city, and we're here for you any way that we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson.
Yeah, thank you to our team. I tell you, having the police officers at the gas stations was like a genius move. I don't know who came up with that, but boy, did that make. I had several people just say, man, it was just nice to be able to get in and out of there. They were directing traffic. You didn't have to fight. They had it all set up. And I'm sure they didn't love being there, and they would rather have been somewhere else. But I can tell you that just created a lot of warm feelings from the community just being out there. I think I know a lot. I had several employees, remark on it, that it was just great that they were there. So I know that may not have been a favorite place to be, but it was definitely appreciated by the community. I do appreciate our leadership team here. I know that, you can rest assured when you're on a board of any organization, and I've been on a lot of them, when you trust the people that are doing the job all day and every day, that matters. And, we aren't doing this job that the city manager, our leadership team are doing. And we're so blessed to have this team, this leadership team, but all the members of this team. You can rest. I was in Georgia, while this was happening with my family, because we're just all in low areas. But it was just nice knowing that you have a great team here. And I have a great team at work, and they did a great job while I was away too. But this team here does a fantastic job, and it's just amazing to watch and hear the reports. Just every decision just seems like the one I would have made, if I was here. I do want to just say thank you to all, because I know it's a sacrifice for everyone to be away from their team and their homes in this stressful time. I know it's tough for me to, be gone away from work and home. It's tough for these people, all of our team, that have to be here, for their jobs. And that's a tremendous sacrifice, because I know it creates anxiety for a lot of people. It's amazing that you do it. I'm just impressed that they do it so well. Last, I just want to say thank you to Vice Mayor Gerard. You're a man of class. You're so eloquent. I've learned so much from you this year, last 2 years. Just the last year mostly, though. Year before, no. But I do appreciate our friendship, and I'm going to miss you a lot. I'm going to miss your jokes. I'm going to miss you poking fun at me. But I'm going to miss your eloquence up here and your passion. So I wish you the best. I hope we get to see each other often. Thank you.
We'll be here for citizens' comment.
You still have a work session in November before election, or before, I don't know, you don't have to show up. I got to add to all that.
I was going to say, unless you want to put in your last 2 cents in the work session.
We're going to put roundabouts on.
I was going to say, we don't have roundabouts on that one, do we?
No, the one after that.
For the 12th of November. Well, so, I'm going to kind of second a lot of stuff, but I mentioned a lot of this earlier. Our staff is amazing, and our EMPC, which is the policy committee that's around emergency management at the city, it's, I can picture on my laptop all the little squares like Family Feud, just experts in every little segment and really making tough decisions for the benefit of our city. And then getting their teams who are tied into everything that we're talking about in action. You said there's no I in team, but there's a hell of a lot of go in Largo.
Yeah, for sure.
It's, I thought of that right then. And so, I hear from residents and Publix and then Ace Hardware and Home Depot, and I've been in the last two several times in the last week, just about how pleased they are with everything that they've seen from our staff, and you represent us so well. Commissioner Gerard, along those lines, Vice Mayor Gerard, I keep forgetting that. I'll get it right next week. I certainly enjoy what sometimes becomes banter back and forth, and I really enjoy your perspective on things, and you've seen me see things in a different light. On some occasions, I still don't think that oysters are vegan, but.
That's my daughter, by the way.
That's not the argument we have.
But you can certainly be proud of your service here to your community, and thank you for everything. Mr. Kirk.
Thank you. A couple more routine acknowledgments. First, I want to acknowledge our Largo golf team. The Florida Turfgrass Association has awarded them the Environmental Stewardship Award. So congratulations to all the hard work that they do out at Largo Golf. Also want to announce to our citizens that McGow and Bonner Park are back open. And just an overall acknowledgement to our RPA team, who both worked extensive hours before the storm, during the storm, but do note that our parks and rec centers and our library were open immediately after the storm. So again, that's just an incredible amount of endurance that team engaged in to get all of our facilities up and ready for our residents so they could get back some little bit of normalcy in their lives. So thank you to them.
I think there is a concert at the golf course this Friday. What is it called?
The Breezeway.
Yeah, concert in the Breezeway, Friday night, 7 o'clock. So go out there and enjoy a little music, and the weather's going to be beautiful. Any action items?
The only one I had was a request by Mayor Brown that staff prepare a plan to address the ditch at Dahlia Place for presentation to the City Commission.
Yeah, I know we have a plan, so just get it, like what we've done, what we're doing, what we expect, what we're doing with the county, et cetera. I think we got it. Thank you very much. Meeting is adjourned.
Is that a Jimmy Buffett song?